Welcome everyone for joining. My name is Nikki Check. I am the host of Women in Leadership, and I'm very excited to bring to you someone I just found last week, Jane Roos. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Nikki. Glad to be here.
So stay with us. Jane has story, and the theme for you today is really understanding how you can be part of a Canadian athlete's journey and helping them realize their dream.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, Jane, can you give us as much of a peek into the past
Sure.
of what sort of catapulted or started your journey and all these incredible things that you've done so far?
So I grew up like most kids wanting to be really active. I had a grandfather who was a hockey coach, and I had a grandfather who was an artist. And so I kind of got the best of both. I grew up in the woods of Quebec to start, and I wanted to go to the Olympics. That was always my dream. And so at grade 4, I had a track coach. It was Mr. Guitar was his name. And I continued that journey all the way into high school, grade 13. So that gives you my age. And in my grade 13 year, my girlfriend who lived around the corner had asked me to go to the airport with her parents, to drop her parents off in Montreal. We lived in Ottawa. And we dropped her parents off at the airport. We went for dinner in Montreal. We drove back, and about 30 minutes outside of Ottawa, she fell asleep at the wheel. So it's that moment in my life where we went off a cliff, and I survived the car accident and she didn't. And it was a really, it was life-changing, obviously. I think my life went from black and white to kaleidoscope. I really got at a really young age how lucky we are to be here, that every day is not guaranteed. And she was an only child, so it was just so hard to get through that time. I lost my best friend, I lost my athletic career, and I really wandered for many years, just figuring out like survivor's guilt and just not knowing what I want to do with my life. And I had my second back operation in Toronto, and I was bored, and my roommate survived a brain aneurysm. So we decided to get the nurses involved, and we decided to do something good. We didn't know what. And we started faxing companies from the hospital. Would never be done now. But we created a venue, and I got out the night before, and we raised $40,000. And
from the
hospital.
Okay.
And we even told companies we don't know what we're raising money for. And then I just decided, I clicked. I'm like, why don't I start helping athletes who want to compete for Canada on the world stage? And so in the very beginning, athletes would come by my house, which is really ideal because I just came out of the hospital, so I had visitors, and they would give me receipts for groceries, airline tickets, and I would just reimburse them. And then it kind of caught wind. Everybody's like, there's this woman giving out money if you give her receipts. And then everything starts. There's always a story, right? And then literally Taxi, which is an advertising agency, Paul Lavoie, he said, I want to do something. I hear what you're doing and I want to help you. And it just snowballed really quickly. We got a national PSA campaign pro bono. The CBC National put us on air to talk about it, and we got charitable status right away. We applied, got it. And so going into those Athens games in 2004, we ended up funding, CAN Fund is the charity's name. We ended up funding 244 of the 266 athletes. And that has just stayed. We don't get government funding, and we really give people across the country an opportunity to invest in someone's talent, to give people, athletes, more opportunity.
So with all due respect, you skated across that. I think it's your origin story that I can't even imagine how many times you've told.
Okay.
So you skated across it so nonchalantly, if I may. You're in a hospital and you choose to do a fundraising for something to make a difference, so you still don't know what it is,
Yep.
then you collect how much money?
We got 40,000.
40,000. And so now you have to do something with it, and then you have that aha moment. Aha, I'm going to help fund Canadian Olympic athletes.
Yeah, like
or not even.
Not even. These are national team athletes who are on a journey. The reason why I connect with athletes, having wanted to go to the Olympics, but the car accident taught me that, you know, you got, the day you're born, the day you die, and there's that little line in between. And that's your
blip.
life. And every athlete I've met, nobody wants a handout. They don't want you to, they don't have a plan B. They just want to wear the red and white. They want to compete and represent our country. And they go into massive debt doing it. And I thought, wow, I really believe in talent. I believe in people going after their dreams. I think the car accident gave me that aha moment where if you're only here once, why not go after your dream? Why not be the best version of you? And I know that sounds a little bit cliche, I guess, but for me it was, really if I could help more people succeed, which has really been my, I think, reason, my why in life is helping people succeed. Well, look at all the athlete people. Let's go back to the women's hockey team or Christine St. Clair or Clara Hughes. They're all CAN Fund recipients, and they've inspired millions of people. And I think what happens when you give athletes access to more opportunities and resources, for me, they shine or they succeed and they inspire other people. And I think that to me is why I get up every day, is to and I think at a really young age, when I lost my best friend, I really got that, okay, if I'm going to have big problems, I'd rather have problems worth living for. So having all these athletes apply and have to raise all this money was something I feel really it's almost, I feel like it's an honor to help these kids, athletes, I call them kids, so many of them, help them succeed, because what they give back is massive.
And your friend would be so proud of you.
She is. It's funny because she was an athlete too. She played basketball, and we played ball together, and I ran track. And I think I feel like it was something instant that I was like, wow, I could help. And a lot of people say to me, I've been doing this now for 20 years. What drives you? And I feel like it's just, you meet these athletes and they really are giving everything and going into major debt. And it's kind of really cool to help somebody live their dream.
It's incredible what you do. So Athens, 2004, you helped fund 244 of the 266. And you've been doing this for now 20-ish.
20 years, yeah.
20 years.
20 plus years, yeah.
And Jane, you've raised how many?
We've raised over 50 million.
50 million, 50 million.
Yeah.
And this doesn't go to the Olympics to put a pretty flower pot somewhere or to build a podium. This is 50 million, and you interviewing the athletes and making sure that how do you select who to give it to and who not to give it to?
Well, we have an application. So twice a year we have an application. In our last application, we had over 900 athletes apply. And over the years, we've really garnered respect, and we treat the athletes like our client. With every donation to CAN Fund, you receive a tax receipt, and you find out which athlete you've supported. So it's you kind of can watch the journey of your donation. We do. A lot of people say, well, I want to give it to a summer athlete, or I want to give it to an athlete from BC, or I want to give it an athlete in rowing, for example.
Okay.
But because we have so many athletes that apply, we can facilitate those requests. When you're trying to be the best in the world, and living on basically very little. We don't, the athletes tell us, like, if I got CAN Fund, what would I use it for? Normally it's coaching costs, physio, extra physio. They use it for travel to competitions or to training camps, proper nutrition, cost of living, and they use it for, maybe some mental health issues, like if they're doing some extra psychology treatments. But I feel like because when you're in that game, to be the best, you have to think you have to believe in yourself. I feel like a lot of the athletes, when you help them, especially with CAN Fund, they'll say to me like this, you're giving me money from people who believe in me. Like it's even a double sword, because when it's pretty lonely being a Canadian athlete, like you're out there every day training, you're putting in the hours. Again, they do it because they want to wear the red and white. They don't want to hand out. When I created this back in the day, I mean, Perdita Felician, Adam Van Couverden, Christine St. Clair, Clara Hughes, they're all CAN Fund recipients. And I remember when Christine St. Clair was going into the London Olympics, and they had just come out of the World Cup, and she had like the Hannibal Lecter mask on, and they were dead last. And we talked, and she said, I'm number 12. There's 11 players on the field. Could we do $12 for 2012? And Canadians could give $12. And that's been the leadership Christine has always given as a Canadian athlete. But so Canadians started giving like $12 for, every member of their family. Companies were giving $12 for every employee. People were giving $12,000, $1,200. And then Clara Hughes, when she was going into the Torino Olympics in 06, she said, I'm more well known than most athletes going to these games, but I'm paying for extra physio. I'm an older athlete, so we funded her, and she gave her money back. So most of the athletes at some point will give the money. They'll pay it forward. They are just so grateful when you are going for something so big as being the best in the world. You don't have access to financial, like there's no streams coming in. So they use the money, they finish their career, they get on with their life, and we're really lucky that the majority of athletes then come back.
Fund.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Because they want to pay it forward, because they feel like someone believed in me when nobody else was cheering or watching, and I want to do that for somebody else.
Oh, it's incredible. So we are just days away.
July 26th. July 26th is the opening of the Paris Games, and there's 200 athletes left to fund.
Okay.
We give each athlete $8,000, and it is really cool. The athletes you're funding now, you'll be watching on TV. And I always say to people, like, there's no ticket really to the games. You get 16 days of watching our athletes compete, wear the red and white. They'll become household names, some of them you've never heard of. And to make a donation now and get a tax receipt and know that your money is going to that final prep. Like, this is the go time for these athletes. And some of the athletes we're funding, just like we do it like every other day, we're funding more and more athletes. And they're like, we're going to use this money for last training camp. We're going to use this money to take my coach to the last competitions. We're going to use this money to pay for some new equipment that I need. And it's just, and I just had an athlete say, like, getting this funding now, like one of the 3-on-3 basketball players, Paige, we funded her yesterday. She's a 2-year-old daughter, and she brings her with her. So she's just like, this type of funding, getting $8,000 in the final weeks of the games takes so much financial pressure off these kids. And I think it's just such a great use if you have the money to donate, because you'll see the outcome when they compete for Canada, how many people they inspire.
So messaging is, it's glorious to give to Canada Fund and be part of the athlete's journey, but it's got a cherry on top if you fund now, when we're in the last leg of the.
I think it's anything, like when you put everything on the line, like a lot of our donors are entrepreneurs. A lot of our donors are people who they know that at one point in their life somebody stood up for them. right? We all have somebody that, out of the blue did something we didn't expect, or someone who referred us to somebody, or somebody who helped out our business, or somebody who, maybe, did something in the community when we weren't expecting. And I feel like the opportunity, our CAN Fund donors really see that their donations right now are giving our athletes a boost. They're giving them a bit of a step up. They're giving them something to say, okay, we're backing you now. Like, you've done all the hard work. You've actually qualified to represent Canada. Just qualifying to represent your country is such a massive accomplishment. And now they're going in, and unfortunately, most of the athletes will leave these games, $50,000, $60,000 in debt. They do it because they want to, but our goal is to clear 200 athletes off our waiting list. We give them $8,000 each. That's $1.6 million I have to raise. And, I say to the Canadians, like, any donation, $24 or more. At this point, it all adds up really quickly. And like, Canada Day is on Monday. Like, it's your donation to living in this great country that we all get to call home.
It's incredible. Jane, can you talk to me about your women's group?
So I have CAN Fund. I also own an art gallery, and I paint. So I got the grandfather artist gene also, and so my Jane Roos gallery I opened it in 2008, and and I have 2 daughters, and so female founder, female entrepreneur, mother of 2. And I mentor a lot of women, especially young women entrepreneurs. I think I love asking for money. I think I have no fear. I collect 10 no's a day. So I mentor a lot of women. If you need help asking for money, I'm your girl. I'll help you out. But it was a few years ago, I looked at our donor database, and I noticed that it was predominantly male. And I think it's the way I ask, because I'm really like, do you want a cup of coffee? Yes or no? Like, I have zero attachment to the ask. I'm just looking for people who want to help people succeed. So I feel like in 2019, November of 2019, I thought, wow, I want to do something just for women supporting women. So we created CAN Fund 150 Women, where women give $150 or more. And
total, that's it.
Or more, like $150 or more. And that's kind of the cost of an event. Like, if I was going to go to an event in the city, sometimes it's like, buy a ticket for $150, right? And so I created CAN Fund 150 Women. That's all there is behind it, is $150, 150 women. And it really started to take off. Our youngest 150 woman donor is 8 years old. She donated her birthday money. Our oldest CAN Fund 150 woman is 88. And in between there's women who have given $150, $5,000, $50,000, $10,000. But the money is going specifically to female athletes. And we have now funded 578 female athletes as CAN Fund 150 Women recipients. We have over 5,000 women who have joined. And I would love, before the games, to get another 5,000 women, $150.
Yes.
It's your give back to supporting women. We say so often, like, women supporting women, so here's your chance.
Yes.
You get a tax receipt. You find out which female athlete you helped. But bigger than that, we have changed the program a lot. We do Be Epic. So the premise of CAN Fund 150 Women is Be Epic. Like, live each day, be the best you can be. Like, just be epic. And so we do Be Epic classes. We have events. We have draws, giveaways. We have a private LinkedIn page. So a lot of it isn't just, some women give and they say, don't bother me ever again. Like, I'm just giving. And then other women are like, I want to be more involved. I want to meet other women. So, for example, on July 28th to August 4th, we have the 4th annual Be Epic Run. And we ask women across the country and their networks, men and women, everybody, to run, walk, swim, bike, do something for 1 week and make a donation to CAN Fund 150 Women. And we timed it this year to be during the Paris Games. And the idea, so this is our 4th annual. Okay. And we do prizes. We have women host events, like running events. But CAN Fund 150 Women is just a donation of $150 or more.
Got it.
But what we do once you join the community is give you the opportunity to be more involved if you want. And a lot of women do, and a lot of women have grown their businesses. A lot of women have met really great people. They got to know the athletes. They meet the athletes. They hear their stories, and they have. I don't think most Canadians have an idea of the impact their donations make when to our athletes. So I feel like most of the people who give, and once they hear an athlete say thank you, are often surprised that wow, they really need it.
Jane, I can tell you as a proud Canadian, as a family of 3 wonderful adult children, I can tell you all the Olympics, summer, winter, that you gather as a family and you watch and you cheer on and you cry for those Olympic commercials. They always make you cry. But to be able to, leading up to this Olympics, this Summer Olympics, and to be able to come in right now and fund anywhere in the Be Epic campaign, the 150 Women, or the CAN Fund, and be able to choose the athlete you want it to go to, or the type of category
that
you want it to go to, the sport, and to be able to sit there on your couch or with your family and know that you contributed. You'd probably have your chest out, your chin up. You'd be that much more proud. So I think this is a great opportunity for community.
It's personal.
It is.
I've had a lot of parents say to me that, like, or people, like, I've donated and I shared the athlete with my friends, or I've donated and our kids now follow that athlete. And what we do after the games for all of our donors, we'll invite them to some calls, like Zoom calls, where they'll get to meet the athletes and talk about behind the scenes. We know there's 86,000 charities in this country. We know that everybody works really hard for their money. But we're asking Canadians to say, there's very few people that wear the red and white on the world stage, and our athletes do, and they make us so proud. And this is a different type of giving. This is helping someone, reach their full potential.
It's amazing. So I have to ask, Jane, you have your art gallery in Toronto, your husband, and your 2 daughters, Toronto, but here you are sitting here with me, and you reside in Kelowna. You've been here now for 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. I started coming here in 96.
Okay.
I married a Kelowna boy. He is Conrad Lineman. He's an Olympic beach volleyball player. And I met him as his agent back in the day. And
You were his agent.
I was his agent. And he had many careers here. But when I first met him, he too, like beach volleyball, Canada, it was a bit of it wasn't like known as we are now in the sport of beach volleyball. And so his dream was to go to Sydney. And so I became his agent, and we did the thing in Kelowna called the Pep Rally, and across Canada, actually. And Sunripe came on as one of the sponsors. So Kelowna, I'm very familiar with Kelowna. And we just decided, Conrad's one of 7, and his father was ill a few years ago. And we just decided we'd want to spend more time with Paul, his father. So we moved out here, and my daughters decided to go to school here. And we every summer we decide if we're coming back, and we're coming back again. And it's been awesome. Like, it's a different lifestyle for sure. But we just had the Kelowna Summer Crush where I met you, and we've helped like 11 Olympians from Kelowna over the years, Melinda Elmore and Kira Smith, and I like living here. I love it. I want to get more involved in the community.
It's an incredible community.
Yeah, I miss that a bit, I think, here, because when you come, we have like so much family, but I don't have the business connections here. But we've been here for 3 years now, and we're back again in the fall.
So, Jane, you've been recognized. You've won a number of awards, some ever so rare. Live Olympic Award, only 20 people have ever received this award.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the accolades are nice. I feel like, it was an award that was given. It's given to people who live the Olympic spirit 365 days of the year.
I would say you
I
tick
do.
those boxes.
And I actually don't go to the games ever.
What?
Yeah, so I find when the games are on, our entire country wakes up and watches our athletes. So that's when everybody cares. So we do
You're
events
on the
and
phone.
yes. So I don't even go to the games. I'm fundraising when these Olympics start in Paris. I'm fundraising now for the winter athletes going to Italy.
Okay.
So
You don't stop.
No.
Okay.
No.
Paris.
Because the athletes' dreams don't stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go into so much debt. And I feel like when they want to compete for Canada, a lot of the athletes say getting CAN Fund means the difference between qualifying and not qualifying. It means medaling and not medaling. It means having your coach or not having your coach. But, and one cool story for Conrad, when I met Conrad, it's like a full circle moment. So when I met Conrad, we dated. I was his agent, and then we decided we'd be boyfriend, girlfriend. And then we got engaged. And my father, his name was George, he had 7 strokes. And my mom called me and she said, your dad's gone into, they've given him 3 weeks. And so he was in Ottawa. And so I flew to Ottawa, and I'm the middle child. So I have an older brother, younger sister. They're both married. I'm not. And I said, Dad, and when he had his first stroke, I bought him a treadmill. I said, one day you're going to walk me down the aisle, so why don't you practice on your treadmill, take your steps. And if you've had stroke patients, you've noticed that they scribble. So I would go into his house, and he'd have scribble marks, 10, 8. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's doing his steps to walk me down the aisle. Oh, so I remember calling Conrad, and I said to him, they've given my dad 2 weeks. And I, what do you think? And then he's like, well, why don't we just get married at the hospital? Mm. So I got married at the hospital that I was taken to after my car accident.
Oh.
So full circle moment. And my dad, his birthday's Christmas Day, and so we got married December 15th, and he ended up living 4 years after our wedding at the hospital, at the Ottawa hospital. And so I feel like, I don't just live a life of I feel like you have to be that person all the time, be epic. You have to and my mom was like, well, are you going to have another wedding? I'm like, no, this is my wedding. This is awesome. And then we came here, and there's the Kelowna Hall, and we had a reception there. So up in
East Kelowna.
Yeah, East Kelowna Hall was where I had my wedding reception back in the day. So
I do want to go back to your awards, and I love.
I know.
I know.
I'm avoiding the award. We can talk about the awards.
But I think the whole premise of the Women in Leadership is to really inspire other women to step up. Yeah. And I don't think you were given a playbook that said, if I had said to you 20 years ago, oh, I have a crystal ball and you're going to raise 50 mil for athletes, and you're going to have just an incredible impact on our Canadian athletes, I don't know that you would have gone, yeah. Did you see it? Did you?
I think the thing with the car accident, and it's hard to explain, is I never worry about the how in life, ever. It almost vanished after the car accident. I'm just why? If I met you and you said, Jane, let's create something, I wouldn't talk you out of it. I wouldn't explain to you how hard it's going to be. I would just go, okay, why do you want to do it? And if your why is big enough, compelling, I would be like, hey, let's do it.
Okay.
And I've done that a lot with women entrepreneurs in different, I had a woman who needed to raise $100,000 to take on Kenya for a child campaign that she was doing. And we need to go into details, and I just went out and raised $100K for her. So I think the thing for me is like being unreasonable, every day. And, it has not been easy. People say, oh, like I've had a lot of ups and downs. You do. I always say that, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I always say, like, I collect 10 no's a day. I love no. I ask my daughters, like, how did you fail today? Failing, fail, fail, fail. Because when you fail, you're actually going for it. And I mean, no one, like, my dad died at 67 years old. And, he had just started retiring. And I know he had all these big dreams. And, my dad lives in me. My best friend who passed in the car accident lives in me. And I feel like, the best we can do is ask ourselves, how can we live a life of service? How can we help other people succeed? And the awards I've received have become because of that. But it was never, ever for it. And there's a big difference. And I think, even for the Live Olympic Award, it was in Torino. They gave it out on the stage at the Olympics. And I'm like, I'm not going to the games. I have to fundraise. So I didn't even accept the award. I didn't go. I had Minister Peter MacKay was there, and he got it for me. And I think the thing is what awards do, like, winning the Top 100 Women Award and the awards that I have won, they give you a different platform. And they give you a different voice. People listen to you a little bit more if you have different awards. But really, at the end of the day, it has to come, like I always say, bad neighborhood, good neighborhood.
Bad neighborhood, good neighborhood.
Yeah. People overthink everything. And it's just, you're wasting your precious time.
I love it. You have shared so much with us. I have no doubt you will inspire many that will watch this. I'm confident we're going to be able to help you get closer to your 1.6 million in just a few days that we need to fund. And I can absolutely tell you, I am a Colonian of a whole whopping 25 years, and boy, are we glad to have you back in community.
Thanks. I love being here.
Thank you very much for coming in today, and thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, thanks for listening and for asking such great questions. Those were good.
Thank you.